So I am up in the gallery here at St. James's. It's late afternoon on Thursday, so it's been a beautiful, bright, sunny day, but the light is just starting to change. I love this time of day in the church because the sense of the warm glow of the light on the Grinling Gibbons reredos is really giving us a sense of intimacy. The candles seem to burn a little brighter. The church has been open for quiet prayer all day. And up here in the gallery, you get a completely different perspective on what St. James's is like. The space, the atmosphere, and generally, people tend not to, some do, but people tend not to sit up in the gallery on a Sunday for the Eucharist. But something very, very, very important happens at this level for Sundays at the Eucharist. And it's that we do live streaming for most of our services and definitely for the Sunday Eucharist every week. And the live streaming camera is located just beneath the clock, which is itself located just beneath the organ. And the organ is one of the key aspects of the building project that's happening here over the next few weeks. So I'm here with Tomas, who's a member of the Verger team and who's also a real tech expert. And he is trying to figure out how we are going to proceed with video and with live streaming in this phase of the organ project. So tell me what you're up to and why you're doing it.
So, the system in the church has certain relay points. These are working over a connection type called SDI. That's a fiber optic. So it's a piece of glass that sends a video signal. The camera that's at the back of the church is connected to one of these points, but we have extra ones around and about. So one, for instance, is down by the font, which we would always set up a camera there for our baptisms when we live stream them. At the moment, what I'm trying to do is using these extra access points, setting up a freestanding, basically camcorder, like the sort of thing that your relatives would bring to a family barbecue, and just putting it on a tripod and trying to see how we can use this as an alternative when we have our main camera blocked by scaffolding.
And the scaffolding is going to go up when and for how long?
Starts on Monday. And we've got about roughly, I think they're saying the scaffolding will be up for roughly about a month.
And so over those weeks, the main reason why the scaffolding is going up is so we can start to reimagine what this amazing organ case from the last couple of centuries and the pipes that it has contained can be like. So this is phase one in a bigger project where we're really hoping that we can transform the experience in terms of the heritage, the present, and the future of music at St. James's. I'm always curious about music and audio and acoustics and how that gets captured as part of live streaming. Will that be changed or will that work differently with this camera here, or am I just not getting the way that the tech works at all?
Audio and video are completely separate entities, just generally speaking. So This is purely video. The audio will be through all the microphones that we have set up in the sanctuary space or the headsets and lapels that clergy wear, for instance. So the interesting thing is, though, the acoustics in the space will change because we're going to have a great big scaffolding here. And then up here, who knows what's going to be going on that's going to affect the acoustics in the space. Personally, I think it's a good thing we don't have like live concerts going for a while because they may not sound quite the same. The acoustics in St. James are incredible. I mean, these vaulted ceilings here, they act like amplifiers, and then the gilding on the ceiling as well is almost like a old school equalizer because it takes off all the harsh edges in notes. So yeah. I don't know what else to say. I kind of went on a ramble there about the acoustics here because I love the acoustics in this place.
Me too. And even as we're talking up here in the gallery, I feel like the architecture is very generous acoustically, that we can hear one another easily, but there's also this sensation, as you say, that running through these arches on either side of the gallery, there's this sense of openness. It's almost like the sound is a little bit like the light that pours in from these clear glass windows. I love the idea of the shape of the church that Christopher Wren designed being a little bit like an old school equalizer. I'm thinking about my I had this is very silly, but I had a bright pink double tape deck ghetto blaster growing up in the mid to late 1990s, right? And it had a graphic equalizer on the front, and you could get more bass or less bass. And so that's something that I've never thought about in terms of 17th century architecture. I'm also really interested in the way that organs work because of the relationship between air and sound. And the kind of music that we make currently is digital organ music with our organ, and things just come through speakers. And so what do you think, looking ahead to the next phases of the Wren Project, what are you looking forward to in terms of music and sound and the potential for this building? Because our whole sound system is going to improve as well.
I'm personally really looking forward to having a real working organ in the space. I mean, acoustic resonance is like magic to me. And what you get from a real organ is completely different from the digital. We already have it where the acoustic resonance from our current digital organ will make the church vibrate. It makes it feel alive in this place. It's like electric running through the wood. With a real organ, this entire building will just resonate and be vibrant with music. Fun thing that happened the other day, Michael was rehearsing for the wedding that we were having in the church. He was playing on the organ, and he said, "Can you hear this rattle?" And I spent a good 10 minutes with Michael as he was holding down long droning notes, making the entire church vibrate, whilst I tried to find where this rattle was. And what it was the light above him, the glass pane, over time had moved out of place from the acoustic resonance. So the organ had literally made a pane of glass move over time, just purely from sound.
So these tiny little millimeter by millimeter calibrations are happening in this building all the time. And they also happen in our bodies as human beings. Like I think about the almost like the ripple of liquid and the way that atoms and molecules sort of vibrate. And for me, from a faith point of view, that is really special. That's really holy when we gather together around the altar and we sing together and we speak together. Then it's like the whole of heaven and earth is vibrating with us theologically. So if we're using the building the way that it's meant to actually be used, then we need to be really sensitive to the ways in which we're using it to make music, that sound and vibration and resonance are a really important part of what we can offer in this space, and that there's a way of almost caring for people holistically in their well-being, because it feels really good when people are in the presence of something that just sounds amazing, when we're transported somewhere else, perhaps even through the transcendence of music and singing. Even if someone is not belting out a hymn or a Taizé chant particularly well, that doesn't matter. What matters is that we're all using our voices together. And when it comes to the organ, what I'm also really looking forward to is getting up close to a lot of these little details of the sculptures and of the designs. Up here in the gallery, we have a pretty good look at some of the little cherubs, the putti, and also way up near the ceiling, angels blowing trumpets. And so I'm always curious about, especially as someone who works here in a very practical way, what it's like when you're up here in the gallery. Today, you are trying to solve a problem effectively where the camera is going to be covered up because of the organ scaffolding. We're not quite sure what sort of effect that's going to have. And we know that it's not just about living with it for a time, it's about learning from it and about coming up with the best solution we can. But you're up here from time to time for all sorts of reasons. What's it like for you to be up in the gallery?
It's a different space up here. I mean, not only is it warmer because heat rises, but it's like an area of the church that has had less foot traffic. So it just feels a lot more removed, less, I'm trying to find the words to say, but untouched, but not quite that, you know? There's less footprints up here, so it feels a bit more special. And especially, at the moment, we're using it more for storage than anything. Our nativity is going to move up here after this weekend, for instance. We have some old like the old lectern that's hidden away in the corner there, the massive eagle lectern, and then the old 10 Commandments thing that used to sit right in the sanctuary over there.
What? I've never. There's
Have you
an
never
eagle
seen them?
lectern and some Ten Commandments boards.
Yeah.
No way.
Absolutely, follow me.
Okay, let's go look at them.
See, this is the wonders of being able to just come up here and explore as a verger, as you discover these treasures.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a little spiral staircase that says hazardous area. We're coming back around. The organ console, I have never noticed this before. So this is a massive, massive lectern that's supported on this eagle covered in beautiful carved feathers. In a way, it's pretty classic. There are lots of lecterns that look like this supported by eagles. And it's got little teeny tiny bits of damage, all just a little bit of spider web going on here. I love the feathers. So what do you think of this? I mean, I'm just seeing this for the first time. You spent some time with this before. What do you think of it?
I think this is incredible, and I think this should be out, personally.
Ah.
Even if it was just somewhere in the church as sort of extra decoration. It's a piece of history. There's history behind this. And like for me personally, this is what I find so interesting. There's modification that was made at a later date to put a microphone in it.
Oh yeah, there's a big hole in the front, and then these two little holes either side. So this would have been
Probably
a kind
for a
of
light.
Yeah, sort of mid 20th century microphone sort of projection with a little reading light above, and now of course it's gone. So it shows another phase of its history. There have been at least two different major modification stages for this, because to me, I don't know for sure, but it looks like the eagle itself is maybe a kind of a 19th century carving, but then the sort of reading desk space on the top, and also the plinth with its interesting, funky little carving, that looks very 1950s post-war to me. So this object together is telling a really interesting story. And around the back
it's the old cabling
is
for the
the
wire.
old cabling for the wire. This feels very 1950s to me. It's
Definitely.
got this plastic woven cover, and it's just coming out from it's just coming out from the bottom of the eagle. So this thing, whenever it got removed, whatever its story is up here, literally dusty, an old part of St. James's, which is just here waiting to be discovered. I'm so glad you told me about it. It's so cool. It's so
really
cool.
And there's so much more up here as well. So like, these are the pallets that we use at Easter time when we build the crucifix inside the church.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where they live all year round.
Wow.
And then they come out for Easter time.
For sure. And those commandment boards, where are they?
So these are the Wren chairs, and then behind them is the commandment boards.
Oh, and they have the most amazing details on them.
Yeah. So it's two of them which would sit. You see where the two arches are behind the altar?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, they used to sit right there.
I see. So they fit there, and then they were taken off. So all of these different layers of St. James's history are just up here in the gallery. And a lot of the time when we have really big events, especially at Christmas, these spaces, and sometimes for memorials and larger things, these spaces are filled. But a lot of the time, the main occupants, if you like, of these spaces, when the doors are shut and locked, are these signs of history and these bits and pieces of convenient storage, and the vergers when there's work to do. This is kind of your domain in a way, which is really different from others. Thank you so much for this little adventure, little wander around. And so I better let you get back to work.
There's also the triptych over there. I don't know if you've seen that yet. It's a painting commissioned by Donald Reeves, which Lucy requested us to dig out of storage for the memorial.
Let's take a little look at that.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. Is it just up here?
Huge. Yeah, that big wood there. It's like 3 pieces as well.
Let's take a look at this triptych. So it's 3 big pieces of wood, and it's just up in the top. I've not seen this before. Oh my goodness, this is amazing. What do you think of it? Can you describe it for us?
There's so much to take in. So when you first look at it close, to me, I see a tree and some kind of baubles or balls with hands holding them out. So you see, like here, they're like giving them. You could think like Christmas tree decorations, but they're glowing with images of people, community, compassion. And then you open it up, and you just see.
Oh my goodness!
All the sort of like life around Piccadilly, with St. James's right there in the centre.
Oh my gosh, and there are people playing in the trees and helping one another, and there's music and feasting and games and
then on the two
community all over the place, and then the Tower of St. James is in the middle.
You can see there's a person there, and then there's a person there, and they're looking out of their window, and they're seeing all the people, the city, music, dancing, life, just enjoyment.
And there are animals everywhere.
Yeah.
And they're of lots of different ages and sizes. I think, is that a koala bear? Maybe.
Yeah, that looks like a koala bear to me, yeah.
And deer and lions, and this is an amazing image, a kind of a snapshot of the imagination of all sorts of life. The interconnectedness of many different things in the middle of the city is really clear here. So I'm so glad that this is out. And Donald Reeves's memorial will be here in the spring, and bringing us back full circle. By the time that happens and people will gather here to remember him as a previous rector of St. James's whose life and whose ministry was so transformative and so impactful for this place, this phase of the Wren Project will be complete. We'll have a new south door. People will come in through that door. We will have the first phase of the organ project completed, and so there will be more love and attention and care that will have been given to this part of the building. And so together, as we remember different layers of the history at St. James's, going back centuries, we are also reincorporating the celebration of and the thanksgiving for a life of someone who in the late 20th century energized St. James's in a different way. I'm so glad that we spent some time together today. Thank you so much. And I hope that the solution to live streaming for when the organ scaffolding comes in goes really, really well. And truly, near and far, we really do, as staff and volunteers and all the people involved in St. James's, we really do appreciate what the Vergers do. So thank you so, so much.
Of course, no problem.